Good morning, children. Today we will discuss about climatic control. So, what are the important factors control climate? There are six major controls of climate of any place. Any place of climate of any place are controlled by six major factors: latitude, altitude, pressure and wind system, distance from the sea, or ocean currents and relief features. Now today we are going to study two important factors, latitude and altitude, how they are affecting. So due to the curvature of the earth, we know that the earth is not flat, it has curved shape. Okay, so that due to the curvature of the earth, the amount of solar energy received varies according to the latitude. We know that we can take the example here when due to this curvature of the earth, that means it is not flat. If it is flat, we know all the places of the earth will receive a equal amount of sunlight. But due to its geoid shape, we can find the amount of solar energy received. The different parts of the earth or different regions of the earth are different. We know, see here, when it is very close to the earth equatorial region, when the sunlight in the equatorial region is received is heavy, and when we are comparing the polar regions, when the distance from the sun is more, so that the polar regions receive a little amount of sunlight. So also we can, so that is what we say latitudes or latitudinal differences. Equatorial regions, the heavy sunlight is experienced or sunlight rays is experienced in the polar region. Where we are moving towards the higher latitudes, the temperature decreases. So as a result of this, air temperature or the generally decreases from the equatorial regions. The temperature is in the equatorial region is very heavy, while moving towards the polar regions temperature decreases. Okay, so temperature increases in the equatorial region, while moving towards the polar regions temperature decreases. That is what when we say about latitudinal differences also affect the climatic condition of any region. So equatorial region receives the more sunlight, becomes hotter. Polar regions receive less sunlight, the temperature decreases here. Another important factor is altitude. What is altitude? Altitude means height. When we are moving towards the upper regions from the mountainous areas, we know that from the land surface towards, while moving towards the upper regions or the mountainous regions, or when the mountain tops, when we reach, the temperature becomes lower. We know that the mountain tops are snow capped. Why it is snow capped? Because of a temperature is very lower on the upper part or the peaks of the mountains. Mount Himalayas, for example, we know that completely snow covered always. Okay, so from the earth's surface, when we are moving towards the higher altitudes or the higher regions, atmosphere becomes less dense and temperature decreases. The bottom parts or the valleys of the mountains are very hotter, but when we are moving towards the upper parts of the mountain, temperature decreases. So that the hills are cooler during summers, while people moving towards the hill stations in the summer season because of the cooler climate there. So here the pressure and wind system of any area also depend upon the latitude and altitude of the place. Okay, that depending upon the higher regions, mountainous regions, the pressure and wind system also are different. Okay, when we are moving to the higher altitude, we have already said that the temperature decreases. Okay, then another important factor, here temperature and rainfall pattern also are affecting because of this different reasons. Really, for the topography of the land also is affecting the climatic differences. Okay, then sea also has an important part in affecting the climate of any region. Sea coast or the sea distance from the sea. We can say another example, distance from the sea. How the distance from the sea affects the temperature of any region. Okay, see the regions. Now, coastal areas, the land which is very close to the sea, we say coastal area. Coastal areas have a mild climate, while the interior regions of the country where we say continental climate. Okay, coastal climate and continental climate are different. Coastal climate is always mild. There is a moderate temperature or moderate climate in the coastal regions. Okay, due to the wind blowing from the sea, the coastal climate is mild, not extreme climate. But when we are moving to the interior parts of the continent or the any land region from the coastal area, temperature increases there. Okay, there is no sea to affect the temperature here, so that continental climate is experienced in interior parts of the land from which is a distance from the sea. Okay, far distance from the sea affect the temperature of any region. So we can find Delhi, which is located in the extreme interior part of our country, away from the coastal regions, experience heavy summer is too hot there, and at the same time winter also is too much cold. Okay, so that extreme climatic conditions are experienced from the places which are very far away from the sea coast. Another important factor affect the climate is the ocean currents. Ocean currents also on the coastal regions affect the temperature. So any coastal area with warm and cold currents flowing past will be warmed or cooled if the winds are on the coastal areas. Okay, warm currents if are flowing in the coastal regions, the temperature becomes warmer, and if the cold currents are flowing, it becomes colder also. Another important factor we can find out the relief features. What is the relief features? That means the topography of the land. Okay, that means high mountains. When the regions where there are high mountains, we can say best example of our country in the northern part of India, we have Himalayan mountains. Okay, so here the mountains also affects as a barrier, okay, which restrict the cold or hot winds. They may be also cause the precipitation if they have high enough and lie in the path of the rain bearing winds. Or we can say when the coastal regions, we can find South India has coastal axis. Okay, from wind which are blowing from the Indian Ocean or Arabian Sea, which are moving towards the other parts of the country. From coastal area, South India, to the wind moving towards the northern parts. When there are Himalaya mountains are blocking the wind which is flowing other regions, so that it causes heavy rainfall in this locality where within our country the wind is blocked by the mountains for blowing the other regions, other countries. Okay, so we can find that this region is called the windward side, where wind is blocked by the high mountain ranges, and the other parts becomes a rain shadow region. The other parts, the next part of the mountains are called the rain shadow region. It does not get a rainfall. Okay, so this region we say leeward side. Leeward side remains always dry, because this region is also called the rain shadow region. There is no rainfall occurring because the mountains blocking the rain bearing winds from the oceans. So how the relief features affect the temperature or climatic conditions in any area. Okay, so the mountains are blocking the rain bearing winds here. Okay, so this is also another important factor we can say here. Himalayas are also blocking the cold wind which are blowing from the North Asian countries or the North Asian regions. From the Arctic region or the Central Asia, cold wind blowing towards India during the winter season are blocked by the Himalayas, so that India is protected, our country is protected from extreme cold climatic conditions. So tomorrow we will study what are the factors affecting India's climate, especially other latitudes and altitude, pressure winds. More explanation, more about these latitudes or these climatic controls tomorrow.